You guys how to use the patch tool and other blemish removal tools to get rid of all the clouds in the sky. So you might be thinking, what's that? Like the applicable use of this? If you think, getting rid of pimples on things, getting rid of maybe a tree on a line, on a horizon line, getting rid of maybe the Skyway in Buffalo, for example. So I'm going to just show you how to use some different tools for our final here. So first off is the patch tool. So remember, a lot of the times I talk about destructive editing and non-destructive editing. Non-destructive editing would be turning this to a smart object and never touching that layer. So anytime I want to make an edit, I can go back and change it. So what I would be doing for that would be, again, making that a smart object. So basically that's not editable pixels. It's a reference. It's a file that's thrown there. And I would go to that top layer. I would use the stamp tool right here. Select it right here. I'd define with my Alt key, define an area that I would like it to look like, and then use it as a paintbrush. That's a little harsh. So I'm going to turn some settings down. And I could just paint in there. It looks like it doesn't come up right. So it looks like this color down here is a little bit better. So you can already see it's a bit of a pain, and I don't really like to do it. I'm not that out to work on non-destructively all the time. The thing is with non-destructive editing, just always with destructive editing, make sure you have a reference file. Make sure that you have that original image, to go back to when you screw up, which will inevitably happen. And you always have the high-res image to work with. Never, ever use Command T and size something down, press OK, and then be like, oh, well, wait, I want it. Don't ever do that if it's not a smart object. So if it's just an editable pixels here, just leave it the size. So with that being said, what I like to do is use the patch tools, spot healing brush, and healing brush content aware move. So all of these things, the patch tool, make a selection, drag it over, and it's good. You can see there's some banding right here with color because it's a little bit tough to make those subtle gradients. So just be aware of that. Kind of get away with it in this image. Just make an image, and you always drag it to the spot that's most like the color that you want it to be. So I wouldn't drag it up here. Of course, it kind of works, but it's kind of stretching itself to do that. So the pixels won't look as nice. All right, so you just kind of do little bite sizes. Don't do too much. And the reason why you do that, if you do a lot at once, that banding comes in a little bit more. So just a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. Now, I have this set to normal, not content aware. Content aware adds pixels in that aren't there. So if I were, let's say, let's kind of get off this real quick. You see how it kind of is making stuff up. It's not really nice. It's not blending pixels. It's creating new ones. If I stretched out an image and I wanted to add some pixels into here, I would use that content aware patch tool because I'm kind of filling it up. And it may not work the best. It's a little bit harder because there's a lot of pixels to work with, but it's better. And then from that, I have some pixels to work with. Then I would go in with the normal mode, start cleaning things up. So most important thing is just to work a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. Now, if I were to take just a chunk of this off and bring it to darker color, since there's a lot of contrast between this white and this darker color, tries to blend those out. Try to avoid those situations. If you are, let's say, this is a horizon line, and you want this to be straight, you know, or you want to get rid of this like chunk. Try to make the lines work. So that you don't, so it doesn't have to blend to the background itself. Kind of, you see how that worked a little bit better? If I were to go just straight into here, see it doesn't have anything to work with. It doesn't have a pattern to work with. So you see how this little area I can kind of get away with cutting off? There we go. So always kind of work. And these just work like normal selections too, so you can add to it. If I did a good job. But yeah, so you kind of take a little bit of each chunk. Now there's another way you could do something. Let's use the content aware fill. So I'm going to use the selection tool. I'm going to press fill, content aware fill. And now it takes its best shot at what it thinks is in that circle. And when it's in that selection. So again, now let's say if I did that over here. With the cloud not selected out, it's going to do a pretty good job at creating like fake clouds around it. But again, if you use that patch tool, it's going to do this mess. All right, so next thing up is the healing brush. And all these things basically do, let's see, is kind of paint. It's like that spot healing brush. Or it's like that stamp tool, but a little different. So you can see how it's kind of blending things. I don't really like it as much as the spot healing tool, which you basically paint an area, make that brush bigger with my brackets, and it kind of does it automatically. This is the best for like pimples and things like that. Doing bigger clouds and stuff. You can see there's kind of some imperfections. The patch tool is really the best for this. All right, and then the content aware move basically moves an object where you would like it. So that was tough because it is trying to blend the darker blue with the lighter blue, but you can see how that might work if you're moving a tree on the horizon line. All right, so that's how we kind of remove blemishes and use that patch tool. All right, guys, thanks.